Hey guys, we're having a look at the Marvel Legends Fantastic Four Retro Wave Human Torch action figure. The figure is packaged on a retro card, very nice artwork for the top. The action figure is packaged in the plastic bubble with 2 interchangeable fists as well as 2 flame effects. Onto the back of the card, there's an artwork of the Human Torch over here throwing a fireball. There's also instructions over here to show you how to swap his hands as well as use the flame effects. Description of the character, rest of the figures in the wave, as well as some product information in different languages at the bottom. So let's go ahead and get him open. To unbox the figure, I simply slice the bubble off so that I can keep the vintage card back. His 2 spare fists are cast in a red translucent plastic. These 2 fists are articulated inwards as well as outwards. Those 2 spare plain fists do go on to the figure just fine. He also comes with 2 standard Marvel Legends flame effects. These are cast in an orange translucent plastic. We've seen this before on the Marvel Cinematic Universe Scarlet Witch as well as the previous Super Skrull Wave Human Torch. And it's pretty much up to you where you want to slide those flame effects on. You can also put them on his arms where he's already got sculpted flame effects. But what I like to do is slide them onto his lower legs where they are actually quite bare without any other sculpted flame parts on it. Onto the sculpt of the figure, all his parts are entirely reused, but this time put together in a different combination. The bulk of his body from the torso all the way to his legs is actually the Sunfire body mold that was already used for the Super Skrull Wave Human Torch. And then his head, his arms, as well as the loose flame effect that sits on his back, that's reused from the Walgreens exclusive Human Torch. Most of the figure is made from a dark translucent red plastic, and he looks like a giant candy. And of course I mean that in the best possible way. If Hasbro were to use an opaque red plastic, it might actually look a little flat and boring. I like how the translucent plastic over here catches the light and makes this figure interesting to look at. His head sculpt has a subtle cocky grin. There's black line work on his forehead that's very sharp and neat and very reminiscent of the line work in the comics. There's sharp and clean hits of gold paint for his eyes. At the top of his head he is sculpted with flames, and those flames are given an orange paint. That orange paint kind of matches the flame effects that are sitting on his back. I can sort of empathize with Hasbro for the flames not being a perfect match, because this flame effect is cast in an orange translucent plastic and catches the light in really interesting ways. You can see that despite the effect being made from one type of colored plastic, it just catches the light at different angles and ends up looking somewhere between yellow and orange. So that's a really cool effect. Onto his torso, he also has that same clean, sharp line work. I think the line work on his torso as well as his arms is a good balance, in a sense that he's not entirely covered in lines like in the comics. Because in my opinion, if that was executed in action figure form, it might make the whole action figure look a little too busy. I know this may not be entirely comic accurate, but for me what would push this figure to the next level would have been an orange Fantastic Four logo in the middle of his chest. On his lower arms, he's also got that same flame effects that we saw on his head. Once again, the orange paint applications are clean and sharp. And onto the back of the figure. After removing the flame effects, the whole back actually does not have any paint on it. And here we have the recurring theme of Hasbro not painting anything on the back of figures. They should have at least repeated the line markings from the front of the torso onto the back. And moving down to his legs, we also see the same line work on the front of his thighs as well as his lower legs. But once again, those line work could have also been applied to the back of his legs as well. For articulation, his head is on a ball hinge, so you can swing his head 360. There's a little bit of sideways tilt to the right as well as to the left. He can look down pretty well, as well as up quite a fair bit, and that would be really useful for flight poses. He's got a butterfly joints at his shoulders, so he can pull his arms back pretty far, as well as pushing them forward quite a fair bit. He's got a swivel hinge at the shoulders, so it goes all the way around. He can come out that far, and that's where the sculpt of the shoulder kind of interferes with the joint. You can try to slide that sculpt just underneath the shoulder joint so you can get more range out of it. There's an upper bicep swivel for 360, double hinged elbows, so that's good range. It's kind of hindered by that flame effect on his lower arm. There's a swivel hinge at the wrist, so it goes 360 and articulates in as well as out. But this time again, it's also hindered by that flame effect. He's got a mid-torso ab crunch, so good range forward as well as backward. He's got a swivel at the waist, so he goes 360. Upper thigh swivel, so you can get his legs in as well as out. Double jointed knees, very good range. Swivel at the calf, so you can turn his lower legs outwards as well as inwards. He's got ankle tilt upwards as well as downwards. And finally, ankle pivot outwards as well as inwards. So the articulation is pretty much Marvel Legends standard. This action figure looks and feels great in hand. So far, I've been really enjoying handling him. At first, I thought it was a little strange that Hasbro would give us the plain fists without those flame effects sculpted on them. And then I realized those plain fists would look great with the fireball effects fitted onto them. I don't actually have the Walgreens Human Torch with the fireball effects, but I borrowed these from the Pyro Marvel Legends action figure, and they fit on just great and work really well with this action figure. And the Human Torch hit, as well as the flame effects and the hands, fit on just fine on the Super Skrull Wave body. The hit might just sit a little loose, but now I am definitely looking forward to the retro carded Johnny Storm so that we can mix and match all the different parts for great playability. The Human Torch stands at 6¼ inches to the top of his head, and that's just under 16 centimeters. And to the tip of the flames on his head, that's about just over 6½ inches, or about 16½ centimeters. Here he is with the rest of the team from the retro carded wave, with the Silver Surfer and Doctor Doom, Psycho Man and the High Evolutionary, She-Hulk and Spider-Man, Iron Man and Black Widow, some G.I. Joe Classified series, and some Star Wars Black series. The classic Human Torch design is pretty simple and basic, and on that note, Hasbro has done this figure as just that, simple and basic. I can't help but feel that Hasbro could have put a little extra effort by adding the line work on the back of the figure and giving more accessories like the fireballs. That said, I'm still pleased to have an improved classic Human Torch figure. Looking ahead, I can't wait for the retro Johnny Storm figure in order to mix and match the parts. Please like and share this video, let me know what you think in the comments below, and subscribe to my channel for more toy reviews. Thanks for watching, take care and stay safe.